Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, War, Peace, and the Presidency. I'm Amy Goodman. Today is Election Day. Over 78 million people across the United States have already voted in early voting, with record participation in battleground states like North Carolina and Georgia. Control of Congress is at stake, with 34 Senate seats and the entire House of Representatives up for election. Of those, the Cook Political Report says 22 House races and 4 Senate races as toss-ups. Republicans need to pick up 2 seats to gain a majority in the Senate, while Democrats are just 4 seats short of taking back the House. On Monday, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump both campaigned in the swing state of Pennsylvania. Harris wrapped up her campaign with a final rally in Philadelphia.
I am ready to offer that leadership as the next President of the United States of America. However, the race ain't over yet, and we must finish strong, and this could be one of the closest races in history. Every single vote matters.
Harris was joined by Oprah Winfrey at her closing rally, which also featured performances by Ricky Martin, Lady Gaga, and will.i.am. Donald Trump delivered his closing speech in Grand Rapids, Michigan, as he had in the last 2 election seasons. Earlier in the day, he spoke from Reading, Pennsylvania.
November 5th, 2024 will be Liberation Day in America. And on day 1, I will launch the largest deportation program of criminals in American history. We're going to get them out. We have to. I will invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. You know, 1798. That's when they ran the country a little tougher than we run it today.
Trump's final hate-filled anti-immigrant rallies came as Politico reported the Trump campaign recently fired a white nationalist field director in western Pennsylvania. 24-year-old Luke Meyer, known online as Alberta Barbarossa, was a co-host of the podcast Alexandria with far-right media personality Richard Spencer. Speaking as his virtual alter ego, Meyer once said, quote, "Why can't we make New York, for example, white again? Why can't we clear out and reclaim Miami?" he asked. Also at stake in today's election, abortion, which is on the ballot in a record 10 states. Reproductive rights supporters are watching Florida especially closely, where a ballot measure, Amendment 4, could restore abortion access after Republicans imposed a 6-week ban. A Pennsylvania judge Monday declined to halt Elon Musk's $1 million daily giveaway to swing state voters who sign on to his super PAC pledge. Philadelphia District Attorney Larry Krasner had sought to shut down the scheme, calling it an illegal lottery. Palestinian medical sources say at least 70 people were killed by Israeli attacks on the Gaza Strip over the last 24 hours. At least 20 people were killed in the besieged northern town of Beit Lahia when an Israeli airstrike ripped through 2 homes. Meanwhile, Israeli soldiers have withdrawn from the Kamal Adwan hospital after raiding it for a 2nd day in a row. The hospital had already been operating with a skeleton crew after Israeli forces last week detained dozens of medical workers there. Israel's most recent attacks damaged the hospital's upper floors where the children's ward was located, seriously wounding a child who was recovering from surgery. On Monday, the head of the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees, UNRWA, said the amount of aid entering Gaza reached a new low in October, with a daily average of just 30 trucks entering into Gaza. That's just 6% of the cargo allowed to cross before Israel began its assault on Gaza nearly 13 months ago. Palestinians say the situation will be even worse after Israel this week formally ended a decades-old cooperation agreement that allowed UNRWA to operate.
This is considered a death sentence for Palestinians inside the Gaza Strip. How many thousand students will be deprived of schooling? How many thousand patients will be deprived of treatment? How many thousand employees will lose their jobs? How many thousand people will be deprived of aid? This is a violation of international norms and the laws that exist in the world.
This comes as the Biden administration continues to provide weapons and ammunition to Israel, ignoring foreign assistance laws that bar such aid to countries that commit gross human rights violations. On Monday, Associated Press reporter Matt Lee asked State Department spokesperson Matt Miller to grade Israel's response to that 30-day deadline imposed by the U.S. to end its starvation campaign in northern Gaza.
They certainly do not have a passing grade. They have failed. I said they have failed to implement all of the things that we recommend in that letter. Now, that said, we are not at the end of the 30-day period,
okay,
and we are in coverage.
Not ready to give them
it's not the end. It's not the end of the semester. You don't hand out grades in the middle.
Well, I suspect that the levity is a little bit inappropriate.
No,
I expect that the levity is a little bit inappropriate, said AP reporter Matt Lee, as the State Department spokesperson Matt Miller chuckled at his own joke. Israeli forces have killed at least 4 Palestinians during airstrikes on the occupied West Bank. 2 Palestinians were killed by an Israeli drone attack near the city of Kabatia, and 2 others in an aerial attack on Tamun outside the city of Nablus. The killings come after armed Israeli settlers launched a wave of attacks on West Bank Palestinians, burning their homes and property and destroying olive trees. On Sunday evening, settlers torched more than 20 vehicles in the city of Elbit, while in the town of Deir Dibwan near Ramallah, settlers scrawled hateful graffiti on walls and set fire to a parking lot. Elsewhere, settlers burned dozens of olive trees in a grove on Palestinian land in the town of Belarus, northwest of Nablus. When Palestinians tried to put out the flames, they say they were beaten by settlers who also threw rocks at them. Israeli strikes in Lebanon Monday killed at least 15 people and wounded 90 others. The attacks bring the overall death toll from Israeli attacks on Lebanon to more than 3,000. Hezbollah responded by firing rockets toward Israel in what said were attacks on soldiers' barracks and other military targets. Lebanon's national news agency reports Israeli attacks have devastated 37 towns across southern Lebanon, destroying more than 40,000 housing units. Syria's government has condemned Israel for carrying out airstrikes in a civilian area south of the capital, Damascus. On Monday, Syrian media reported 2 people were killed and 5 others wounded when Israeli warplanes launched an air attack from the direction of the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights. Israel's Air Force later claimed it had hit Hezbollah targets in Syria. In Russia, President Vladimir Putin met at the Kremlin Monday with North Korean Foreign Minister Cho Son-hui. Their meeting came as Ukraine's government warned 11,000 North Korean troops are in Russia's Kursk region bordering Ukraine, preparing to be sent into combat. Ukraine seized part of the Russian territory in a surprise counter-invasion in August. In Brussels, NATO chief Mark Rutte called North Korea's entry into the Ukraine war an escalation.
North Korean troops being deployed in Russia against Ukraine. This is a significant escalation, and it makes us even more focused and determined to make sure that Ukraine has what it needs to fight off the Russians, including the North Koreans.
In Ohio, a white former police officer has been found guilty of murdering Andre Hill, a 47-year-old black man from Columbus who was shot dead while leaving a friend's house in 2020. Adam Coy faces a mandatory sentence of life in prison without possibility of parole for 15 years. Body camera video shows then-Officer Coy opened fire just moments after encountering Hill, who was unarmed, striking him 3 times in the leg and once in the chest. Officer Coy was not using his body camera properly at the time, and he failed to administer administer aid to Hill for several minutes as Hill lay dying. In the wake of the killing, the Columbus City Council passed Andre's Law, mandating the use of body cameras and requiring police officers to provide aid if they cause any injuries. Elsewhere in Ohio, in Canton, 2 police officers have been indicted for reckless homicide in the killing of Frank Tyson, a 53-year-old black man who died after police violently pinned him to the ground. Body cam video shows officers Camden Birch and Bo Schonega ignoring Tyson's pleas as he repeated, "I can't breathe," before losing consciousness. Reckless homicide is punishable by up to 36 months in prison. And in labor news, 33,000 Boeing workers on the West Coast approved a new contract ending a strike that started over 7 weeks ago. The contract will raise salaries more than 43% over the next 4 years and includes a ratification bonus of $12,000. John Holden is president of District 751 of the International Association of Machinists.
We reduced the cost of health care and added other important insurance programs. We secured a commitment for the next airplane program. We got commitments on jobs for our facilities and maintenance to maintain the headcount, and we made many other improvements. Tonight, our membership voted to accept this contract by 59%. You know, it's time for us to come together. This is a victory.
And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org. War, Peace, and the Presidency. I'm Amy Goodman in New York with Juan Gonzalez in Chicago. Hi, Juan.
Hi, Amy, and welcome to all of our listeners and viewers across the country and around the world.
We use this video for educational purposes. Thank you for making this video possible. Fair use copyright disclaimer. Copyright disclaimer, this video is made in accordance with Section 107 Act 1976, which allows for fair use of copyrighted material for purposes such as criticism, commentary, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright law that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. 1. This video is intended to have a positive impact on the original works by providing educational value and enhancing the understanding of the scenes. 2. The primary purpose of this video is for teaching and learning English through the use of famous speeches, movies, series, animation, interview, etc., with added subtitles. 3. This video constitutes a transformative use of the original works, as it adds significant value through the creation of subtitles, making the content more accessible to the audience. 4. We have used only the portions of video clips necessary to convey the intended educational message. Teacher Bruno Saldanha does not claim ownership of the rights to the video clips used. These clips have been repurposed under fair use principles, with the goal of educating and inspiring viewers. However, if any content owners would like their images removed, please contact us by email at contactbrunosaldana718@gmail.com.